Scaled claws rapped rhythmically against the wooden table. Late. He was late. Of course he was late. He likely wasn't coming at all. Susanna sighed. She decided that she shouldn't waste the rest of such a fine day sitting at a small table, waiting for a guest that would never arrive. She began to gather her things, resigned to chalk this up as just another disaster in the rolling calamity that was her personal life, when someone slid into the chair across from her. She looked up to find herself staring into the face of a human, the one that she had met through the agency, the one that had agreed to meet her here. "I'm so sorry I'm late," he began. "I was so excited for this I forgot to charge my pad, and then they were doing work on the tram line which held me up, and I couldn't get in contact with you. I'm glad you're still here. I hope you weren't waiting too long." He actually showed up. This was a pleasant change of pace for Susanna.
"Oh, not at all. Thank you for your apology."
The human grinned at her. "Can I start by just saying you are absolutely stunning?" Susanna felt her tail stiffen in indignation. "Oh, sorry, does that mean something different to you? I didn't get all of the vocab down." This gave Susanna pause. Species without tails generally had a poor grasp of what could be conveyed with the appendage. Likewise, she had a hard time nailing down the subtleties portrayed in the gamut of expressions displayed by those with more pliable faces.
"Wait, you know tail sign?"
The human's eyes cast down to the table. No, not really. I got super excited when you agreed to a date, and I asked a couple of my HIS co-workers to teach me the basics, just so I could get a better read on the situation. I didn't want to ruin the vibe, but I feel like I'm already fumbling." Susanna hissed in amusement.
"No, not at all. In fact, I think that was very thoughtful of you. But back to your question. It may, depending on what you meant."
The human fidgeted with his silverware a bit. "Well, I just meant you're gorgeous. Like, your pictures don't remotely do you justice." Susanna felt herself flush. She had, in her life, never been referred to as more than middling, so to hear such high praise was a boost to the ego.
"You don't need to flatter me. I'm already glad that you're here."
The human made an expression she couldn't quite place and said, "Well, it's not flattery if it's the truth. What do you mean you're glad that I'm here? I feel like I'm the one who lucked out."
Susanna picked at her claw. "Because of the... you know."
The human looked confused. This was an expression that she knew well. "No, I don't think I do."
"Soft shell?" she responded. "It was right there in my profile. I even listed it as an undesirable trait."
"Oh, that?" the human snorted. "I didn't know what that meant, so I chose to ignore it."
Susanna groaned internally. "You thought to ask your HIS co-workers about tail sign, but not about soft shell?"
"Nope," he replied. "You phrased it so negatively I assumed it would be uncouth to ask others about it. Figured you could explain it if you're so inclined, or we could just carry on ignoring it if that's the best course of action." Susanna drew a deep breath. It was uncomfortable, but the truth was always preferable to deception and omissions, so she braved ahead.
"The genes that I carry mean that my clutches are soft-shelled. My offsprings aren't viable. It is considered an unfortunate trait among the HISC. It makes me rather unappealing."
The human made a broad gesture toward himself. "I don't know why that would make a difference."
"No," she chuffed. "I really didn't think about that. I don't suppose it would. It's just... I'm so used to..."
Susanna let the sentence trail off. It was a topic she did not like to discuss. "Hey, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to," the human said softly. Susanna felt relief at this development.
"Thank you, I'd rather not. Your profile said that you enjoyed fantasy, yes? Have you read Abrecht or Broken Claws Lamplighter series?"
As the afternoon progressed, drinks and conversation flowed quite freely, and for Susanna it felt nice. Even if this particular engagement didn't end up going anywhere, it was a pleasant break of normalcy to her otherwise dismal dating life. That was until the human suddenly stopped mid-sentence. Susanna briefly panicked. Had she said something stupid? Had she done something dumb? But the human just pointed to the table. I don't know what this one means. For a moment, Susanna was confused by the gesture, and then it dawned on her. Horrified, she slowly bent over to look under the table, only to find her tail wrapped snugly around the poor human's calf.
"Oh, I am sorry. It's just part of his culture," she said,
as she wrangled the treacherous appendage back under control.
"When we want to pursue a romantic partner further, we intertwine our tail with another's. If they reciprocate, they begin a devoted courtship. I apologize if that was too forward."
The human sat in silence for a moment, seemingly ruminating on the information he had just been given, before giving her a little smirk and reaching his hand across the table, interlacing his fingers within her claws. This is the closest I can get. For the first time in her life, Susanna's cold blood ran hot, and she felt herself completely at a loss for words. Fortunately for her, it seemed the human was perfectly content to carry the conversation. "Your profile said you like Tojemwi, right? There's a cart around the corner that my buddy swears by. You want to grab a bowl?" Susanna looked at the human and did her best to smile.
"I would love that."
"What a strange coupling," a lone Lorindon at the bar said to no one in particular, as he watched a newly acquainted pair saunter out. "Eh?" The bar across from him shrugged. "We're central enough. We get plenty of H.D.S through. Nothing new there." There was a moment of silence between the two, as the barman went back to polishing the glass he had in his hand, and the Lorindon received no further clarification from the answer that had just been given. "H.D.S? Human dating services. Loser, lonely, outcast, or eccentric, there's a human waiting to date you," the barman replied almost melodically, as if reciting 1,000 times half-heard advertisement. "Ha!" the Lorindon scoffed. "You expect me to believe that your entire species is willing to life-bomb with defects and rejects?" The barman shrugged again. "Not the whole species, no. But there are enough of the adventurous to back the claim. They match based on hobbies and interests, so even if they're, let's say, incompatible, the relationships usually work out. We humans are a weird bunch. Give us something that someone can find attractive, and we'll figure out how to make it work." "You seem to have an intimate understanding of the human condition for a poorly paid server," the Lorindon said. "I'm a bartender. It's like 90% of my job. Besides, your take on relationships is fairly bold considering the absence of lavender feathers in your crest." The barman shot back. The Lorindon shifted on his slightly too small stool. "I simply have not found the appropriate mate. I am biding my time for the right one to arrive, as you would say." "Sure you are," the barman sneered. The Lorindon should have eviscerated the bartender for the insult, but the truth was that he really didn't feel like it. He quickly checked down the bar for others of his kind, lest social conventions force his fist to become instant acquaintances with the barman's face. But seeing his only company was a small auburn-furred halfkin nursing his beverage, the Lorindon let out a small sigh of relief. "It just feels strange to me that there are humans, in droves apparently, that are willing to bond with those that fight the flood of who they are, that eschew everything that makes someone someone. To not only find companionship among these types, but to actively seek it. I do not know if that could be considered admirable or abject lunacy." "All right," the barman said, as he placed the glass beneath the counter and threw his towel over his shoulder. "I'm going to assume that, considering your lack of plumage, and the fact that my sternum is still intact, we're drifting away from the realm of hypotheticals here." The Lorindon smirked. It seemed a constant throughout the cosmos that those that tended bars also tended the mind. Soothsayers and psychiatrists to the last. "Let us say..." He quickly checked down the bar again, seeing only the same halfkin as before. "There was a Lorindon that cared not for martial prowess or strength from the battlefield. One that only wanted to paint pictures of setting suns over placid lakes, or desired to hear the call of songbirds in tranquil forests. would you still surmise there would be humans willing to mate with such a specimen? The barman gave a wide smile. The artsy type, eh? Yeah, I'd wager there's a demand for that. The Lorandon scoffed again. I question your judgment of value. The barman crossed his arms. Buddy, you're basically an 8-foot-tall Bob Ross made of muscle. I guarantee that all sorts of humans would be tripping over themselves to nab a date with you. Hell, I'd wager today's tips on it. I doubt you would be correct, the Lorandon replied. The barman gave another smile. Oh yeah? Pull out your pad, big guy. I'll help you set up a profile. Down the bar, a pair of auburn ears perked up.